Welcome back to your #1 source for all things stimulus. I'm kind of in a good mood right now because I have some good news. I have actually mostly good news as far as the updates. I have a bunch of updates here with the stimulus package, the stimulus checks, the EIDL grant, the Paycheck Protection Program. Mostly good news. So I'm going to be kind of skipping around doing one to the other. So if there's a certain topic that interests you the most, feel free to skip around in the video to that. But I'm going to cover a lot of topics here. A lot of things are just constantly changing. That's why I'm just continuing to put out this content as soon as I can digest it and then make it understandable. All this stuff is just so technical. Once I can make it understandable, then I present it to you guys. So make sure you like this video because these videos take a lot of time to make and a lot of research, and I would appreciate that so much. So let's get right into it. First thing I'm going to talk about is the IRS has a new site up in order to register for your stimulus checks. So we'll go over to the screen here. This is only applicable for some people. If you've already filed your federal income tax for 2018 and 2019, you're going to automatically receive this without taking additional steps. The stimulus check, that is, the $1,200 check in your account. Individuals who receive Social Security retirement benefits or disability benefits, you're already going to receive this, so you don't have to worry about this part. And also people who receive railroad retirement benefits. That's a government agency having to deal with railroad workers. So who is eligible for this economic payment? You must have a valid Social Security number. You can't be claimed as a dependent for another taxpayer, which is a huge stipulation, and that's a pretty blanket term. I made another video on this, but I'll go over it again briefly. There's a lot of situations where that's pretty crappy, especially for people who are like disabled adults who are on someone else's taxes. The person who is taking care of that disabled adult and claims that other person isn't going to get a $500 bonus on the stimulus, which is kind of ridiculous. Also, college students in most cases, if their parents claim them, the parent isn't going to get $500, the student isn't going to get $1,200. There's just a lot of situations here where it's really weird. And then another one that I want to point out is if you're in a marriage that was recently split, this payment is going to go to whichever bank account was on the 2019 taxes. So make sure you're aware of that because that could really affect certain people. So who should use this new online system? If you had a gross income that did not exceed $12,200 or $24,400 for married couples for 2019, or if you otherwise were required to file an income tax return for 2019 but didn't plan to, then this is for you. And I know there's a lot of you out there because on my last video on this, there was 1 million people who had 1 million questions on what to do in situations like this. So I'm glad they have this system here for you people. And don't confuse this system with the other one that will be coming out soon, where you can enter in your bank information in order to get an electronic payment for the stimulus. That is if you've already done your taxes for 2018 and 2019. If you were to receive this automatically, but you don't have your bank account attached to your taxes, that will come out towards the end of April, beginning of May, so you can receive that electronically and you don't have to wait like 5-6 months in order to receive your check. So this is the form it brings you to. It says, do not continue to receive Social Security, railroad retirement, or SSDI benefits. The IRS will automatically send you funds in that case. Or if you've already filed 2019 federal income tax return, or if your gross income exceeded $12,200 for single, $24,400 for a married couple, or if you were married at the end of 2019 and you're not submitting information here with your spouse. So once you click Get Started, it wants you to make an account. It's pretty basic information here. And this is what exactly you're going to need to provide. Your full name, mailing address, date of birth, Social Security number, basic information. Then it tells you what to expect. You're going to create an account. It's going to ask for your Social Security number. It's going to ask if someone else is claiming you as a dependent, because that's a major rule here. If someone already claims you as a dependent, unfortunately, you're not going to get anything from the stimulus as far as I can tell. You need to enter in your complete bank account information, and then you'll be directed to verify yourself. So that's really exciting. I'm glad that they're on top of these things. On to the next piece of news here. The Treasury Department is seeking to get an additional $250 billion worth of funding for the Paycheck Protection Program. And this is because they initially had $349 billion, and they're realizing it's just going to go away, like it's evaporating like as quickly as we're here, sitting talking about it. So they're requesting additional funding. I know there's going to be some holdups here where Other people are going to try to get, other things put in this additional funding, not applied. Everyone's trying to like get in their little piece of the action. But they're saying that the banks have already processed $70 billion worth of loans for 250,000 small businesses in this program. I'm not sure how many have actually been funded. I'm assuming very few have actually been funded, but that's the amount that has, gone through to the SBA. So as you can see, that's going to go away quick, and that is before any independent contractors or sole proprietors, single member companies have even been able to apply. So you can only imagine this is going to evaporate quick, but I'm glad they're on top of it, and I think that $250 billion is probably going to go through. If I were a betting man, I would probably bet on that. On to the next piece of news. Has to do with Wells Fargo. In the past, I have not been happy with them because if you're not already familiar, in the first weekend of the Paycheck Protection Program launching, they filled up their applications within 2 days and then told all their existing customers, sorry, there's nothing we can do. We can't help you in this situation. We decided we were going to fund $10 billion worth of loans, and we hit that. So best of luck to you. And man, that was so annoying to me because what about all those small businesses that have just banking accounts with Wells Fargo, and all these other banks are making it difficult for non-current account holders to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program? This literally would leave millions of businesses without funding or access to funding through this program. It was just like ridiculous. So if you're not familiar, they kind of did this because the Federal Reserve put a cap on the amount of assets that Wells Fargo can have because of all the trouble they got in 2018. But the Federal Reserve said that they will temporarily ease its regulatory pressure on Wells Fargo to allow the lender to underwrite emergency small business loans under the Paycheck Protection Program. It's going to allow Wells Fargo to exceed the asset cap that they put on the bank for these Paycheck Protection loans only. And really, this is thanks to you guys, because there were so many complaints, there was so much outrage that people were like, why would they not allow this lending? That pressure made the Fed, make this happen. As much as we're angry at the Fed and the SBA right now, some things are happening. So, like I said when I started this video, I'm pretty happy with how things are going today. So this is the initial press release from 2018 that explains why Wells Fargo, has this asset cap and a little bit more information on it. Just says the Federal Reserve announced that it's going to restrict the growth of the firm. So they were kind of using that excuse to not fund as many loans. I can probably assume because these loans have a 1% interest rate. So they're like, why would we, hit our cap with loans that are 1% interest rate when we could, fund things at 4, 5, 6% interest? That's just my assumption. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, this is the initial press release. Here's some more information on Wells Fargo, just because I know that they have so many customers. So I'm just going to spend a little bit more time on here. On April 5th, Wells Fargo announced that it would limit the program to nonprofits and companies with fewer than 50 employees, and that would lend a maximum of $10 billion to the Paycheck Protection Program. The company cited the restrictions imposed in 2018 about that. But on April 8th, there was an announcement that Wells Fargo was released from these restrictions and now will lend more than $10 billion. Now, I couldn't find anything where they commented on how much they will lend now, but it seems like they're being much, much more lenient. I'm a Wells Fargo customer. I didn't initially apply through the Paycheck Protection Program through them, but I did see this on their website. You can see COVID-19 get access to the Paycheck Protection Program, and that's what led me to look into this a little bit more. And I was like, oh, wow, they're actually doing something here. And it brings you to this page. It talks about who's eligible. You must employ 500 or fewer people, were in business on or before February 15th, 2020, had employees to whom they paid salaries and for whom they paid payroll taxes, had eligible Wells Fargo checking account before February 15th, and are enrolled in Wells Fargo banking. So just ask for some more information, and then you click yes if you want to continue on with the Paycheck Protection Program, and they're going to email you more information. So that's really exciting for all the businesses out there that have Wells Fargo. Unfortunately, they're not accepting applications from non-Wells Fargo customers, but you can check out my other video that goes over all of that. Every single bank I could possibly find in the country that is open to paycheck protection lending to non-current customers. Go and check that out. On to the next exciting piece of information. People are actually receiving funds through the EIDL grant program. the $10,000 grant program. There's a YouTube user by the name of Kai Kim. I talked about him recently in another video. He seems to be like one of the very first people who are receiving funding. He was application number 20,000 some and applied on March 30th to the EIDL program. I was application like 30 some thousand. I think it was 35, 36,000. I can't remember exactly. So I assume that I'll be getting this information soon and I'll possibly have more to give to you guys. But as of right now, this is based off of the information he was sent. So initially he received an email that invited him to go onto this loan portal and let him decide between a $1,000 and $15,000 loan above the EIDL grant money, and this was put in place just to get some money out there to the businesses who absolutely need it. I have more information on that in another video. Basically at the end of there, you accept your loan terms and it says we're going to send you more information. Well, this is the information they send after you accept your loan terms. It says to ensure that the greatest number of applicants can receive assistance during this challenging time, the amount of your advance will be determined by the number of your pre-disaster employees. The advance will provide $1,000 per employee up to a maximum of $10,000. And then says if you need more, go to the Paycheck Protection Program. So this confirms everything that we were suspecting. I know in my last video, I mentioned that it didn't say anything about the $1,000 per employee, but it looks like they're back at it, and that's kind of unfortunate. Because I mean, what's $1,000 going to do? But the bright side is they're actually sending funds, surprisingly enough. He goes on to show that the SBA actually sent him $1,000. They deposited it into his account and he has that money now. So here's a screenshot of his screenshot. You can see his application number down here. He got $1,000 because he put one employee down. That makes me suspect what is going to happen if you put 0 employees, because we're all advised to put 0 employees if it's just you in the company. I would assume it's still going to be $1,000, but this is a weird way to set it up, because you would think if it was 1 employee, it'd be $2,000, you and that employee. So I'm not really sure. That's kind of strange how they formatted that. I have more than 10 employees, so I'll let you guys know what exactly I get accepted for. I'm not holding my breath for $10,000, so we'll see exactly what I get. I'll let you guys know 100% once I get it. And my final piece of news here, automatic stimulus check payments back to the $1,200 stimulus are set to begin next week. That is the week of the 13th. It says eligible taxpayers who filed tax returns for either 2019 or 2018 and chose direct deposit for the refund will automatically receive a stimulus payment of up to $1,200. And they go on to say individuals who receive Social Security, retirement, or disability benefits, or who receive railroad retirement benefits but did not file a return for 2019 or 2018 will automatically receive a payment in the near future. So we can expect probably at least a few weeks before those people are receiving it. If you are one of the groups where you need to file that form with the IRS, I would also expect several weeks before you receive anything. If you do not get the electronic file through the IRS, then you're going to have to wait until the end of April, beginning of May in order to fill out their electronic form and get that sent to you electronically, or wait for the check, which could take 5 to 6 months. If for whatever reason you don't end up receiving that check at all, don't worry, because you will eventually receive that money. If you, for whatever reason, don't receive it at all, it will be a credit on your 2020 taxes once you file those. So if you are eligible, you will get that money. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to subscribe, and I hope you have a profitable day.